life, wisdom. Psychetruth massage.
All right, hello and welcome to Reflexology 101 DIY. Today we'll be going over a general well-being protocol that will address your respiratory system, it will boost your immune system, and it will lower stress. So it will also be really good if you have any allergies or asthma or any kind of sinus irritation, which, is very common this time of year. Anyways, my name is Melissa Lemunion, and let's go ahead and start with a warm-up. All right, so like with any sports or exercise, it's always important to warm up the part of the body that you'll be working on. So in reflexology, I always start with the ankles, which reflects to the hips. And so I'm using the blades of my hands and I am just wiggling the foot around. You'll be able to feel some tender spots as you go in underneath the ankle bone. The rule is the same rule of thumb as with all body work. A little discomfort is fine. You don't want to have any actual pain or bruising. All right. The middle warm-up step is the foot twist. And so you grab your foot and you just twist, 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 twist. Okay. And then flip your foot over and just use your fingertips to gently press in between the toe muscles. You can engage your thumbs and do the same thing from the top. This just opens up the chest and, most importantly, the diaphragm. All right, so since this is about general health and well-being, we're going to start out with just basically doing reflexology over the whole foot. So I'm using my thumbs in what's called the worm, and I am going up zone 1, which is, I guess, basically zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, toes. It's very simple. So what this is doing is just aerating the tissue. We're bringing circulation. We are kind of bumping up against any congestion that might be there. For example, I'm going to come back and mess around with this because that's tender. And so it's really important to go all the way down the heel and then back up again. All right, coming down zone 4. When I hit zone 5, I like to address both sides, the top and the back of the foot at the same time. So there's all sorts of juicy stuff that gets stuck in the edge of the foot. This is a great place to work on your horizontal, where you move your thumb in a horizontal motion. And so it looks like a zigzag as you go down the foot. All right. There is an Ayurvedic proverb that says, good health is a clean colon and a straight spine. And since the spine is responsible for conducting all the messages and communication within the body, it's really important to work that spine reflex. And the spine reflex goes from the tip of the heel all the way up the inside of the foot, up into the ball of the foot, and then you hit, the neck and cervicals up in here. And so like I showed you on the other side, we can do horizontal. We can do like a horizontal zigzag, rolling over the spine, like this. If you find a juicy spot or a tender spot, feel free to stop and work on it. This can take as long as you want or go as quickly as you want. I am on a time limit though, so I'm not showing you accurately how much time I would spend on a specific area. All right, so we've done a warm up, we've gone over the whole foot, and we've just worked the spine reflex. So since we are working with general well-being and we want to boost the immune system, we're going to go back up the spine again. This time, however, we're going to stop and pay attention to the glands. So going up the spine, So we're going to stop. All right, if you divide the spine in half, you want to go just a little bit over the top half. And you can kind of see where my thumb is right here. Now, right now, this is the kidney and adrenal reflex. And so I'm going to just move in some really gentle circles. I'm going to do the little worm thing. And I think I'm going to find a tender spot. I'm going to press in, I'm going to hold and take a deep breath. And honestly, I'm going to tell my adrenal gland thank you because I tend to overwork him or her quite a lot. All right, so continuing up the spine to the ball of the foot, we're going to hit the thymus gland. Now, the thymus gland is responsible for making the white blood cells, which are, they come out in a direct response to immune threats. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of dig around. I'm going to move in some circles. Then I'm going to find a tender spot that I will hold and breathe. Okay, next up on our gland train, we're going to move up into the neck of the big toe, which is also the neck reflex. And so see, the thyroid gland is going to be in the front of the big toe. So I'm going to pinch and just rub. I like to think of a square. So I'm rubbing down the sides of the square. I'm going to kind of trace a square along the front of my big toe, and then I'm going to fill it in with my pointer finger. I'm going to do diagonally in both directions. And if you want, you can pinch with both fingers at the top and the bottom of the square and just kind of rub in circles. All right, so that addresses the thyroid gland. So give the rest of your big toe some love. And then now we're going to hit the pituitary pineal gland. Now, I honestly don't remember quite where the pineal gland is in relationship to the pituitary. So we're just going to go ahead and work the whole big toe. Now, we're working the brain, we're working the face, we're working some sinuses because we're addressing the front and the back. However, to do the pituitary, I'm going to just poke in the middle of my big toe until I find a tender spot. I'm going to hold and breathe. Okay. I'm going to go back and do a few spinal flexes or spinal twists, just to kind of warm up the rest of the foot, because from here I'd like to go into the sinuses. And so what we're doing here will help you if you have congestion, nasal drip, dry, wet, whatever. So basically what we want to be working is we want to be working the top part of the ball of your foot and then all of the toes, specifically the tips of the toe on the front and back. So we can use the piano hands to work along this top ridge. So this will also help release stress or any kind of stress-related pain in the shoulders, as well as freeing up the sinuses. See how I'm kind of digging in between my toes, and then I press in and I pull down. Then I'm gonna, because my pinky finger is not that strong, I'm gonna use my pointer finger over here in my fourth toe, which I can feel. feel a lot of congestion. This is that shoulder reflex. All right, so again, I'm not working this as long as I would work this on a client who was having any kind of sinus issues. So you can work on it more or less. And so now we're gonna go ahead and move on to how to work the rest of the toe. So I showed you how to work the thyroid gland and the big toe. And so that basically translates over to the other toes. And you just kind of feel it out and do the best you can with your toes and your fingertips. So, but we want to work the toe in a 360 direction. We want to do the fronts, backs, and sides of the entire toe. And since we're doing stress and sinuses, we want to work all of the toes really well. And so I squeeze and I rub. And then a lot of times while one hand is rubbing along the sides of the toe, I will pinch the top of the toe. And this is a good one if you can just find a way to hold pressure on the end of your toe while you're working the fronts, backs, and sides of the rest of your toe. I can feel tension right there. This is one of those things where you might be thinking, oh, my toes are fine. My toes probably, this is silly. Why do I need to do this? But then, here I am. I do this for a living. I receive regular foot massages, and I'm, just by touching my toes, I'm bringing awareness to all sorts of pain and tension that I was not aware of. And you can see how my fourth toe is bigger than my other toes. And to me, that says congestion. And so I'm going to work this toe a little bit more thoroughly. I like to, when I get both hands onto the top part of the toe, I like to squeeze the sides and squeeze the front and the back, and it kind of, I don't know, creates a little pumping thing. You can see that there's some tension in the base of this toe right here. Sometimes, like your little toe, you'll only be able to use one hand. All right. And so since we have moved and released a lot of energy in the toes, we're going to bring it down. So now our next step is going to be addressing the diaphragm, which is this line right here underneath the ball of the foot, and the lungs. So working on the lungs is very simple. It's more a matter of almost strength and finding the pressure that works for you. So you want to start from the diaphragm and just move your fingers up in like a sunburst kind of way, working between the toes. You just want to really rub this whole area of the foot. And so the juiciest part of the lung reflex is what's called the respiratory reflex, and it goes between the first and second toe, and it curls around the ball of the foot. And so if you ever want just one place to work the respiratory system, this is it. And you will feel, oh man, I can already, it gets tender up in here. And so one way to work it is just with the thumb kind of coming in and pressing down. But right here, right there at that corner, that's where the tenderest stuff, at least on my foot, is. And so hopefully you can see on the other camera how I'm kind of leaning in. Yeah, there's some major congestion in here. And when you hit, right there. When you hit those tender spots, especially when it's on yourself, just pause and take a deep breath. And you don't have to go any deeper. You don't have to push in anymore. All of this, one really wonderful thing about learning about, practicing DIY body work on yourself is it teaches you to have a relationship with your body and to trust what you're feeling and to learn how to listen to what your body's telling you. Right now, my body's telling me that I need to do this a lot more often. And right now it's saying that this is deep enough. So I'm going to hold this nervy, tender spot and just take a deep breath. All right, I'm going to close down this protocol just by working my spine reflex a little bit more. And then by opening up the hips again with one of our warm-up moves. Because anytime you work on the neck, personally, I think it's very important to at least address the hips in some way, shape, or form. So I'm just going to I'm not even going to lift my foot up this time. I'm just going to kind of rub the ankles and make sure that the energy we release on top can move and release through the bottom if it needs to. All right. So that is a general protocol for well-being through addressing stress relief, the respiratory system, and the sinuses. I am Melissa Lemunion. You can find out more about me and my practice at sensibletoolbox.com. Please like this video if it helped you. Please check out the other reflexology videos and self-help videos on Psychetruth. And leave us a comment if you have any ideas or suggestions for next time.